They're getting creative.
Give them new equipment.
Where is it?
There.
We got the right version. With the one with the missing page 7. I thought 7 was supposed to be lucky. Karen, you all set? All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is Wednesday, April 18th, 2018. And this is your weekly regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's meeting. Before we start, I just wanted to mention this meeting is being audio and video recorded. It will be broadcast live on Channel 9. There will be repeats on Channel 9, and it will also be posted to YouTube. With that being said, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, while we're standing, I would like to mention the passing of Police Officer Sean Gannon, Yarmouth Police Department, Barbara Bush, former First Lady, and local resident Betty Angel. At this time, I would ask Mrs. Aronstein to speak about Sean Gannon.
The Gannon family is a Stonehill family. Officer Gannon was a campus police officer. I know his brother, his sister, and his mom. His mom and sister did the music at my wedding, and I graduated a year ahead of his brother, so there's
Thank you.
Local connection.
We all know of Barbara Bush, what an outstanding person she was, what a role model she was, what everybody's grandmother she was. And even at 92, her passing is untimely. Betty Angel is a longtime Dayton resident who was the owner of Angel's Cabins on Route 44 near the Sigrigansett Golf Course. Betty was an animal lover and worked hard for animal rights, animal causes. So in their memory, I will now ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Condolences to the families. Okay, first order of business, as is customary, is public input. Does anybody have any input today? Do you mind just identifying yourself?
Vicki Piazza, 221 Summer Street. This is the 3rd annual Town of Dayton Cleanup Day, Saturday, April 21st. We're going to meet at 9 o'clock at the transfer station, and wear gloves, appropriate clothes, shoes, whatever you feel necessary. We do have families come, and families are generally assigned areas with sidewalk, like around the mill or 3 Mile River. We generally give you an area to do. However, if you know of an area that's particularly trashy, feel free to do that. Anyway, do you all have any questions?
No, you do a fantastic job. I was lucky enough to have the day off from work last year to participate with everyone, and it was certainly a tight-knit community event. It was nice to see even like young kids excited about cleaning up their neighborhood, and I really appreciate it very much that you take the time out of your life to do this, so thank you very much.
Do you provide the trash bags?
No, Tom Ferry does.
Okay.
They're using the orange ones this year.
Okay.
And he also, I consult with him. Obviously, he runs around with his dump truck to pick up all the bags. We just leave them along the side of the road, and I coordinate with him what are some of the messiest streets in Dayton.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we start, I have a few comments I'd like to make.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. 8 years ago, Marcy and I moved to Dayton, and we fell in love with this community. During those years, I've been the Veterans Agent, I've chaired the Open Space Committee, and the Land Use Committee. I've been a member of the CPC, the Cable Committee, and also the Van Geysen Hall Study Committee. Last year, you elected me to be one of your selectmen. In the past year, we've cleaned up several outstanding issues that were left by the previous board. In my role as a personnel officer of the board, I have successfully negotiated 3 contracts with our collective bargaining unions, each of which was ratified by this board. I have successfully restored a very respectful and cooperative relationship with those unions and their representatives. Over the past year, we hired a new fire chief and our first town administrator, a process that had dragged on for several years. Our town administrator has brought us a level of knowledge and professionalism that Dayton so desperately needed. In town administrator Aaronstein's short tenure, she has done incredible work and accomplished far more than I could have ever expected. I am so grateful for her accomplishments. I'm hopeful this board will honor the will of our voters and allow her to do the things for which she was hired. I'm also hopeful that she will remain in Dayton for a very long time. The reorganization of this board at last week's meeting is of concern. Being asked to assume the role of clerk because another member refused to serve, and then to not be allowed to continue my role of personnel officer is very troubling. These actions are indicative of the nature of this board and our inability to work constructively as a team. What I've learned over the last year is I'm not a politician. I never came to these meetings to put on a show, and what you see of me on camera is exactly what you would see of me off camera. I've always taken a position I felt was right for our town, and have tried to ensure that the governance of our town has been completely transparent, without backroom deals or decisions being made in violation of the Massachusetts open meeting law. We have a tremendous group of dedicated and knowledgeable people supporting our town government, and I am very proud of them all. At this point in my life, I need to refocus on what is most important to me: my family, myself, and my health. I no longer have the energy or the desire to deal with the petty issues, the lack of respect, the personal attacks that occur so often at our meetings. I will be ever grateful to those of you who elected me to this position last year, and I hope that you can appreciate what I have tried to accomplish and forgive me for my early departure. I wish this board the very best and expect that they will carry on with their work and make decisions that are in the best interest of our town. I've given my written resignation to the town clerk, which will become effective immediately. I wish you all the very best, and I think we have a great community here. With that, I'll give you a copy of that letter, and I will wish you adieu.
Anybody wish to speak? Or should we act on the letter?
Well, really, he has to resign with the town clerk. That's all he has to do. I mean, you can acknowledge it, but it's been done with town clerk Medeiros receiving it.
Okay. What I would like to say is, it is unfortunate that Selectman Taylor has resigned. What I would say, just in a very indirect rebuttal, would be that since I was elected in 2016, I have been able to work with absolutely anybody who filled either of these chairs, either this one, that one, or that one. And I pride myself on that. And I will continue to do so, whoever may be elected in a special election. And that's, quite frankly, all I have to say. I would like to commend Selectman Taylor for not what he accomplished, but for what we accomplished as a board working together. It wouldn't be possible if there weren't cooperation on the board. Do we have spirited debates? Absolutely. Guilty as charged. But we've always maintained, I've always maintained, a level of decorum and respect, and I will continue to do so regardless who fills this chair. Thank you. Selectman Goulart?
I think it's unfortunate that Jack Taylor has resigned. I know there's a lot of pressure on this board, and I don't care which seat you sit in. We've all felt it one time or another. I think the focus of this board has been to do the best we can for the town of Dayton, to treat people and employees with respect and try to treat them equally. I also feel that in the particular discussion, the reference to reorganizing the board, quite frankly, it is only within the past couple of years that we have not followed a long-established practice of rotating the offices continually. And that was even back when we had Board of Health, Board of Selectmen as one board. I really think that when you are elected to a position, regardless of what the title is, when you draw those papers and you decide you're going to do it, you're making a commitment. And as I said, we've all experienced the pressure, we've all experienced the difficulty, but I think you do make a commitment. I had no intention of running in 2015. I was happy on the Finance Committee. And quite frankly, was not going to take papers out this year because I was waiting for a strong candidate to step up. I think everybody knows that there has been personal health issues with my husband and more recently with our son. Thank God, I believe we've gotten through all of those things. But by the same token, people who called me in 2015 when we had something like 6 candidates running, and also the calls that came in this time, many of them were the same people, and they asked me to step up, and I did. I thank everybody for their support in 2015 and in the past election. I will do my best to serve you. I will do my best to treat people fairly. I don't make deals. I don't make backroom deals or anything else. So, as I said, I will do my best to serve, and I thank you for the opportunity once again to serve you for the next 3 years. Thank you.
And I would like to say to you, Selectman Goulart, I will continue to work with you. I will continue to nurture our professional relationship, and I assume we will do the same if there is a newly elected member, as we always have done. Okay?
And I guess the rest of the story is we'll check with the town clerk to find out what the process is, because we're going to have a special election.
Correct. And we will work with Town Clerk Medeiros on that. Madam Administrator, any words, or shall we move on to the Town Administrator's report?
I'll say some words. I'm sorry to see Selectman Taylor go. I have enjoyed working with all 3 of you. I know that it's only been 4.5 months, but I have some big plans for Dayton, and you know, I'll work with whoever's in the chair. That's my job.
One last thing before we move on, and I promise we will, to the public. When I ran for Selectman, I ran on hiring a Town Administrator. We approved Town Administrator Aaronstein's hiring unanimously as a board, and I know we stand behind her work as a board. So thank you very much, and I do agree with what Selectman Taylor said about that, and you will be here for a very long time.
I'll grow cobwebs.
I think, and just a closing comment, going back to the difficulties, extreme difficulties that this board, and I'm referring to Selectman Zagrafis, former Selectman Cronin, we probably went through one of the most difficult things any Board of Selectmen has had to deal with. And I don't think any of us will forget the situation that arose with the fire chief and how difficult it was to deal with that situation. But I will say, with the support of townspeople and everything else, we got through it. I don't expect to ever have to deal with something like that again. But again, we worked together as a board. We did what was right for the town of Dayton, and we had the support of the residents in the action we took. So rest assured, we'll do our best, whoever's sitting in that chair. And to the public out there, we are going to have a special election. Folks, if you have any thoughts about running or any interest, start thinking about it. Because, as I said, I wasn't running the last time, but people started calling me. So now there's advance notice that there's going to be a special election. So please, think about what you can bring to the town, what you can bring to the board. We all have to learn. Things change over a period of time. But if you're willing to come on board and work together, you can learn the process. And there are seasoned, experienced people in this building that will help you. So please step up.
Thank you. Thank you. That was exciting. Town Administrator's report, Town Vehicle Use Policy.
This is an exciting topic. So this I had presented to you a few weeks back, and then it came up again as part of the policy manual review. Per your suggestion, Mr. Chairman, we did put in something that would address the markings. It's item number 3, but I do believe this is ready for a first reading of the policy.
Absolutely. Selectman Goulart, any thoughts before we do our first reading?
No, I was just looking at it, and I realize it's 3 pages, but you know what? I really think we owe the public that we should read this.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to split it up? You can
Okay,
start if you'd
all
like.
right, I'll start.
Also, just before you get into that, we will post this.
Oh,
So in
absolutely.
case,
Absolutely.
This
Yep.
is the first reading of the policy that we plan to adopt after the 3rd reading. And this is the vehicle use policy. And I'll read the first page. The background: the town of Dayton owns various vehicles and hires out vehicles for certain occasions, such as snow plowing. To protect the town, its employees, and infrastructure, the Board of Selectmen hereby adopts a town vehicle use policy to ensure safety and prevent misuse. Purpose and applicability: to ensure proper use of town-owned vehicles and compliance with federal, state, and local laws. This policy applies to all employees who operate a motor vehicle owned or hired by the town of Dayton. For additional regulations concerning hired equipment, please also see the policy regarding the use of hired equipment. Operators of large equipment required to have a CDL, that's a license classification, must also comply with federal, state, and local regulations as may be required for compliance with a CDL, including random drug testing. Policy: number 1, motor vehicles shall only be operated by official personnel of the town of Dayton and in accordance with local, state, and federal laws. Operators must possess the appropriate class and valid driver's license needed for the vehicle being driven. Motor vehicles may be operated by others hired in connection with repair and maintenance work as directed by the town. Number 2, use of town-owned motor vehicles shall be approved by the Board of Selectmen. The use of town-owned motor vehicles for unreasonable personal use is prohibited unless otherwise permitted, either by contract or approval of the Board of Selectmen. The town administrator and/or the Board of Selectmen shall take corrective action of abuses of this provision. All vehicles should be decaled with Town of Dayton insignia in some way, whether it is a town seal or otherwise, unless confidentiality is paramount for the use of that particular vehicle. Number 4, an operator shall transport only town employees or officials in town-owned or hired vehicles, except that persons who are not employees or officials may be transported in connection with official business of the town. Persons who are not employees or officials of the town may also be transported in connection with parades and celebrations as authorized by the Board of Selectmen.
No operator of a pickup truck or dump truck shall allow any rider to stand in the body of such vehicles while the vehicles are in motion. 6, any operator of a town-owned vehicle who is cited for a violation of the motor vehicle laws may be subject to disciplinary action dependent upon the citation received. Disciplinary action shall be limited to a written warning, suspension of the right to operate town-owned or hired motor vehicles for a period of time, or permanent loss of right to operate town-owned or hired motor vehicles. 7, any operator who is convicted of operating a town-owned or hired vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or convicted of possession of alcohol or drugs, shall be terminated from employment. Any employee arrested for driving under the influence, whether operating a town-owned vehicle or personal vehicle, shall notify the Board of Selectmen and/or the town administrator immediately. 8, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen may from time to time permit other employees or officials to use vehicles for transportation to and from work on a temporary basis if it is consistent with the needs of the town. All other vehicles will be assigned on a daily basis by the department head and garaged at the appropriate town facility when not in use. 9, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen may permit department heads to assign vehicles on a temporary basis to a foreman or other employee who would be responsible for responding to after-hour emergency calls, which relate to the respective department in conformance with these regulations. Vehicles assigned to foremen may not be used for transportation outside town during the lunch period. 10, vehicle cleanliness. Vehicles are to be washed as needed, but not less than bi-weekly. Interiors are to be cleaned and free of debris and dirt at the end of each day. Each department head shall be responsible for ensuring compliance herein. 11, Vehicle accident policy. In the event that any employee operating a town-owned vehicle is involved in a motor vehicle accident, the following procedure will be observed at all times. A, report the accident immediately to the police in the city or town the accident occurs in. If in Dayton, contact Dayton Dispatch via two-way radio. If a radio is not available, or you are not in Dayton, use a telephone and dial 911 or *77 from a cell phone. When reporting the accident, provide the following information: your exact location, whether or not you, any passenger or passengers, or the operator or operators of the other vehicle or vehicles may be injured. Advise the dispatcher that you are in a Town of Dayton vehicle. B, do not move the vehicle or vehicles unless directed to do so by a police officer or if the present location of the vehicle will cause further risk of accident.
You want to have Mallory pick this up?
Sure.
C.
C?
C. If you are able to do so, retrieve a copy of the vehicle registration from the vehicle along with your driver's license and make them available to the investigating police officer. Do not simply exchange papers with the other operator or operators. Every vehicle accident involving a Town of Dayton vehicle must be investigated by a police officer. Contact your immediate supervisor immediately and advise him or her of the accident. If necessary, request his or her response. Prior to police arriving on scene, be sure to obtain the license plate and make, model, color of the other vehicle or vehicles involved and write this down. I suppose I should say the letter F. If the vehicle is to be towed from the scene, obtain all information as to the name of the tow company and the location of where the vehicle is being towed. If there is another vehicle being towed, obtain the same information for that vehicle. G. Upon return to duty or earlier if directed by a supervisor, complete an accident report for town files and insurance purposes. If so directed by a supervisor, you may also be required to complete an incident report on the accident. Item 12, vehicle registrations. Vehicle maintenance staff shall ensure that a copy of a motor vehicle's registration is placed inside every vehicle. Vehicle maintenance will maintain the originals of those registrations. 13, municipal vehicle parking. All municipal vehicles shall be parked in accordance with posted parking regulations at all times. Premium parking spaces should be reserved for customers and residents doing business at municipal buildings whenever possible. 14, fuel conservation. Municipal vehicles shall not be allowed to idle unattended for extended periods unless the idle is necessary at an emergency scene or in winter conditions. 15, mileage reimbursement rate, private vehicle usage. The town reimbursement rate for employees who use their personal vehicles for official use shall be equivalent to the IRS rate in effect on July 1st of the given fiscal year, when such use is documented on an official reimbursement form attached hereto. And we welcome any comments, questions, concerns, edits. We do take them.
Absolutely. What I would advise the public to do is, once the document is distributed, meaning posted on the website, if you do have comments or edits, you can feel free to email me them. I will get them to the town administrator, and we will discuss possibly incorporating them into a final product. But just since we do 3 readings and then we vote, try to get it in this week or next week. Think that's fair?
Yep, that's
Okay.
very fair.
Thank you. Good work, Madam Administrator, on that.
Thank you.
Now we are on to old business, and the first item up is the Selectmen's budget review.
We can't get enough of this. I gave you a cover sheet here so that you can see exactly where we're at. And also, Karen and I prepared, Karen and I prepared for you. I need to know when I am. Excuse me. Some updated budget documents.
Okay.
Just so we make sure everyone has the same. So that should be in your packet, and if not, she has them right here. It's bigger. So your cover sheet says budgets to revisit. I don't know if you want to go to that first, or if you want to look at the budgets that we have yet to even explore.
So there were some pieces of information we needed to confirm
Yes.
with the budget items
Yes.
to revisit.
I have that.
Okay, so we filled in the blanks?
Mostly.
Are you suggesting we go back to it? I'm okay with that.
I would like to revisit, but it's your call.
Yep, we can do
Okay.
that.
So we're going to start with 242?
Yes.
Gas
Okay.
inspection.
And this information that you requested is actually in your packets. The building inspector did a pretty great salary survey and showed that his request for $35 per inspection is actually right in line with our neighbors. Slightly above average, but we have a lot of building going on. They sure are doing a lot of work. The fees, to be clear, will not be increased. So this isn't going to be a cost passed on to anybody doing business. And the building inspector did include a short note to you reflecting that.
Should we read this, Madam Administrator?
Sure.
Okay. This is from our building commissioner, Mr. James Aguiar, and this is regarding the per diem inspection rate that Madam Administrator was referring to. The letter says, Honorable Selectmen, please let this letter act as a request for your approval for an increase in the per diem inspection rate for the department's inspectors. The department's fiscal year 19 budget included an increase for the electrical, plumbing, and gas inspectors. Per diem inspectors are now to be paid at a rate of $25 per inspection. This rate has remained the same prior to my employment with the town dating back to 2011. If a cost of living adjustment had been implemented for the past 7 years at minimum, the rate would have increased close to the $35 rate as currently proposed. After an assessment of surrounding communities, I have determined that the rate increase is required for Dayton to stay competitive in retaining qualified staffing and to continue offering the exceptional service we currently provide. Our permit fees continue to cover our inspectional expenses, and a permit fee increase is not required to implement these services. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. Respectfully, James Aguiar, Building Commissioner. And there is also a document of that survey. So we're not necessarily taking anyone's word for it. There was actual research done with graphs.
And I believe these towns to be entirely appropriate to look at.
Yeah. Oh, so some sampling just for the public: Berkeley, Easton, Freetown, Lakeville, Rehoboth. So he verified with the correct communities, I would say.
Some of them are higher.
They are.
But at least these are all residential communities. There's no cities in here.
So I'm
We're
okay
low.
with this.
Yeah.
We are. And we have been.
And they
for
haven't been
quite a while.
increased for a while.
Yeah.
And I do know they're doing a lot of work.
And have done,
And have done.
especially over at Old Town Hall.
Okay, so in looking at the summary, gas inspection, plumbing inspection, electrical inspection, they're all covered in this, average. So the numbers that are written in here, these are the numbers that we're going to town meeting with, and the finance committee, correct?
In the budget, these are, yes, my recommendations reflect the building commissioner's recommendations. And the rate is 35 per inspection.
So your recommendation is in line with his,
Absolutely.
the
Yes.
departmental request?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be 242 gas inspection, 243 plumbing inspection, 245 electrical inspection.
What have you got for animal control? That will wrap
Oh,
up
do you
all the
want to do them all
200s.
together? Yes.
Yeah.
So I did a survey. I did not hear back from
Thank you.
one community who I was told were together. They share services, but I was unable to verify that. But I believe that salary is up in the $60,000 range. So my communities that I looked at were Berkeley, Easton, Halifax, Swansea, Seekonk, and Somerset. Swansea and Somerset I was unable to obtain information. The request for Dayton that you see is the current request for this fiscal year. It does seem in line, if not a little low.
I know I did a very quick and easy, very unscientific, very brief search on like average animal control officer salary, so they give a range. So I wouldn't go with the average just because there's no mention of hours, but I do know on the low end, the lowest that I saw was either $18,000 a year or $20,000 a year, which I would assume is not a full-time employee. So, so she's on the low end,
Yes.
a little lower.
So I had actually, because of this, altered I put in 20,000.
Okay. And that's up from the 16,179.84?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and the Board of Health did come in last week with a change, and that change was $17,522.40. I upped it to 20, but they are still requesting $4,400 for the assistant. And Selectman Goulart had asked some pretty good questions and made some good points about the need for an assistant. So I don't know if you want to borrow from the 20,000 that I've recommended or put in the 22, but, excuse me, and increase it for the assistants. Or just fund the assistants at 4,400 as requested and keep her at 220. It's just your decision.
So currently, what the request is, it's about $18,300 if you add the assistant plus the animal control officer's salary. These two together, it's about $22,000. So really what we're asking for is about $3,000 to $4,000 increase. Do you have any thoughts on
There's
that?
also a stipend she receives in a future budget we haven't come to yet.
When you look at the next one on this survey, Halifax, which is a much larger community than Dayton, maximum 18 hours a week. Well, our animal control officer is 24/7. No, she's not on the road 24/7, but with no assistant, any time of the day or night.
She's answering the call.
She is.
Halifax also doesn't have a shelter.
And again, animal control doesn't mean just dogs and cats.
Correct.
It's anything out there.
I'm
She
sure
gets
she
calls
gets
for all sorts of things.
deer in the
And
road, I'm sure
with
she
the
gets calls for
Coyotes,
that.
you name
Yep.
it.
We have
Raccoons.
Right to farm coming up, which
Yes.
I see as a positive for the town.
But
That would give more work for her.
I don't find $20,000 unreasonable, quite frankly.
No, I don't either. I'm totally fine
And
with
if
that.
we have to budge anywhere, I don't object to what the money in there for the assistant. If we have to budge anywhere, I would budget the assistant line. So I think we ought to go to the finance committee with what the recommendations are here.
Yeah,
What
and
what
I'm
you've recommended.
20,000 for the animal control officer and 2,200 for assistants.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy with that. Thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you, Selectman Goulart.
Okay.
I think it's reasonable.
Oh,
I do too.
I think it's
Especially
very
looking at
reasonable.
this, because the Swansea and Somerset figure that I heard is also in the $60,000 range.
And as you said, there are weeks that, and I know this myself, I mean, she's doing probably more than 40 hours a week. Not that it's consistently like that, but this is reasonable.
The other thing too is, this is not a hobby job. She's gotta meet state requirements, she's gotta take training every year, she's gotta stay current, she's gotta know what's going on. And I don't know the qualifications of the other people that serve in the survey that serve. She is a veterinary technician, which is a plus.
She microchips too.
She does.
At
Yes.
the rabies clinic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very great. If you have a dog, I totally support microchipping.
And if an animal is suspected to be rabid and she has to put it down, I'll just say she knows the procedure to get the animal tested
Yeah.
as far as what has to be tested and how you have to provide the material for the state lab, so that's a plus too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we approve the recommendations as submitted for Department 242 Gas Inspector, 243 Plumbing Inspector, 245 Electrical Inspector, and 292 Animal Control Officer.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The last budget to revisit is actually education because of the DR assessment. We were in receipt of the line-by-line budget. I also have something electronically that Selectman Goulart right now has I call it the master copy that we
Yeah, we
have.
put it in a notebook. It's on my
Okay.
desk right now,
Oh,
so.
okay. Oh, I saw you. Okay. So we have that copy. I don't know, I'm assuming neither of you had the opportunity to go through it.
Not yet.
So
I guess if we could, if the board agrees, I think it would be good if you contact the superintendent, business manager, whoever's appropriate. Ask them to give us a budget that shows the same amount of state aid they got last year. Because what is being talked about out there with the governor's budget, he's looking for an increase in Chapter 70. He's looking for an increase in the special ed circuit breaker. We all know that the House will have a budget and the Senate will have a budget, and I'm not hearing that any of them are looking to cut Chapter 70 or local aid or the circuit breaker. It would appear it would be safe to use the same reimbursements they got this year to give us an idea where that budget will be, because right now it's at like 10 point something, 4.8, whatever. At least if we figure on getting the same amount of reimbursement, it brings it down to, I think, a closer percentage to what we're going to have to deal with. Even if it brings it down 2 points, 8 is still high. But right now, we've got a gross budget with no idea. So I'll make a motion that we ask the town administrator to contact the business manager or superintendent, whoever's appropriate, and request that they give us a FY19 budget that shows the same amount of state aid that was given in FY18, so we have I believe, a better number to plan on.
I will step down and second that motion. Any discussion?
I will just say that I know the Finance Committee is beginning their meetings next week. Is that right? And they want to start with education, which has not been done in the past. But they want to look at education early. Is this going to put a wrench in any of that if we don't
Quite
vote
frankly,
on this tonight?
this should take no time to do.
I think I actually can do it in my office. Catherine did send me over an Excel, so I can plug in numbers and look, but.
We know we have to wait for the final, but knowing that they have this large number, a percentage above 10%, which neither town can deal with.
Right.
No one's got the funding for that. So this is just, if you will, a better guess on where we are, and I think we can expect some additional state aid. I don't know if it's going to be, it won't be a windfall, but we got to have a place somewhere.
They've been pretty consistent too of funding state aid.
So if you can do it, fine.
I'll certainly reach out with her.
We can share that with the Finance Committee, just so, and said, we're just trying to come up with some kind of a guesstimate.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now for new budget.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? No, it's okay. I remembered this time. Hearing no further discussion, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. And thank you very much, Town Administrator Ernestine.
Notice that they're getting fancy with the split screen over there. Okay, so the first, we left off, we finished up highways last meeting. And we are now at waste collection disposal. That's number 433 on page 11. Okay, let's see.
Before we begin,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask my colleagues, are we just going to see how much we can get through, or do we want to kind of?
I am hoping you finish,
Okay, all right.
but that's just me.
Oh, there's only 4 pages. I'm sorry.
We're in great
Okay,
shape.
we're good.
I know this
My
looks
apologies.
scary, but we're in great shape.
Most of the big ones are behind us.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was good that we pushed through to get through the highway last week as well.
Yes. Okay.
You have the floor, Madam Administrator.
Thank you. I believe that I level funded all of this because trash is expensive. I'm just double checking. I removed my note. Here it is. Okay, so it's line 5303, landfill recyclery. Woo.
I don't even know if that's a word.
Well, it's a tongue twister for sure. So that is up. And I believe that once the Finance Committee gets their hands on it, we'll actually be able to come down. Tom Pyers has been working fervently on reducing the cost to the town of recyclables. and it went up to $135 a ton. So he found a new company that gave a better price, so he's working on that. So that could potentially go down once Finance Committee gets their hands on it, but that's never something I'd like to take a chance on underfunding, because if you have your trash where you need a place to put it. The other thing I'll say, just a PSA, our recyclables as a country are dirty. We collectively together have to do a better job cleaning it out, and we could all lower the cost of disposing of recyclables if we just take that step. So I know that sometimes we're busy. I'm busy too with it, and because I've started working here, and Selectman Goulart and Tom Pyers both made such an impact on me about what's in the recyclables, I have started really just monitoring myself and my family. So it's an easy way to lower your taxes.
And the other thing too about this disposing of recyclables, that got raised during the year this year because it was costing our hauler more.
Right.
The other thing is
More people were recycling, which is great.
There's and the place that it was going to raised rates too.
Right.
And the international situation isn't helping as far as where we were sending all this stuff. The other thing is, if you've noticed some of the recent increases, the local gas stations have gone up. There's an escalation clause in our trash contract, so we need to be aware of that, because we may be okay for the annual town meeting, but coming up for fall, because everyone's saying $3 by the summer, and I saw gas go from $2.50 something to $2.77. And that's regular.
That'll get passed right
So,
along to the consumer.
So I think right now I'm comfortable for what is on this sheet. I think we've covered areas that we're gonna have to really keep an eye on, because going for the special, we may have to increase these. But I think for annual, I think we're all right. And the Finance Committee will look at this, and they may make reductions, but I don't want to make any reductions now. Let's see what happens with the FinCom.
And I'm okay with that, absolutely.
Okay. The next one is, well, do you want to do sanitation as a whole, or just do the whole page?
No, we'll do this whole page.
Yeah, we'll do
Okay.
page by page.
So cemetery, I actually have a change. Later, I don't know, maybe we're going out of order, but the Cemetery Commission went out to bid for lawn care maintenance. They added 8 cemeteries. The number you have in there is completely wrong. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.
Okay.
Tom Ferry set me straight here.
That's why we have them.
But we had one bidder. We did have 3 people interested, but only 1 returned. The cost of that contract, with a spring cleanup, a fall cleanup, and regular maintenance over 7 months for 25 cemeteries, was $14,200. I'm recommending $15,000 because there's also a clause in the contract and the scope of work for assigned work.
What line are you on,
I'm
please?
sorry. Cemetery would be contract payable mowing, line 5310. It's in there under, they've requested $8,800, but this item was going out to bid.
So you're requesting 15,000 in that particular
yes.
line?
Yes,
Okay.
and that would bring the total for that budget to $19,700. I had a math error where I put in 12 months, but it's not 12 months, it's 7.
Thank you.
Line 5310, I'm looking at, am I in the wrong place, $23,000?
Yes, that's incorrect. Well, you're in the right place, but that line is incorrect.
Cross out 23 and put in what?
15,000.
All right. See that, a budget cut.
We're good at it. I just keep making mistakes.
No, you've done a fantastic job.
Okay, so that, all right, so that's a new
lower,
number.
Right. The next one would be Board of Health Regulations and Inspections. And here's the big one here is the
Can
health
I,
agent.
before?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, continue. That was exactly what I was getting to.
Here's the big one here is the health agent salary. I think Todd Pilling does a great job.
He does, objectively.
This is not a reflection on that. I don't agree with this cost, and I had the math all done, and then I folded it up, and now I can't find it.
For my recollection, Madam Administrator, that position is 25 hours, correct?
25 hours, and do a little math here. 25 hours, they ended up doing, think they brought him up to the $35 an hour inspection, similar to what the building commissioner did.
Sure.
If you went out and you did a health and agent salary survey, you'd get the gamut, because some do Title V. They just have all these licenses. I know from experience, the one in West Bridgewater has a contract with his board, so he has built-in increases. So it's not always easy to do a salary survey. I can go out and do a salary survey if you'd like. I ran numbers at different, I stuck with 25 hours because I don't believe he's interested in increasing the hours at this time.
That was gonna be my question was, my concern, just as a selectman now, would simply be, I wouldn't know how to justify not only to members of the public, but also to potentially other employees, how to justify a 40% raise. I mean, that's literally what it is.
Are we on 5106?
Yes.
5106, yes.
The current rate is what, 32?
I believe, yes, something like that, yep.
The current rate
Yep.
is 32.
I thought he was at 19 hours. He's at 25?
He's
Yeah,
at 25.
20.
Okay.
But they found places in the budget, like you remember they
Right.
used to have a different agent, like
Yes.
perk agent, so they kind of
We
consolidated
had a
positions.
contracted engineer to review plans and all that other stuff. I know he's doing all that work.
He stepped up when we needed help with planning. He's a wonderful employee. So this really isn't a reflection on that.
Sure.
But it's whether or not we can make this giant jump.
The hours-
The hours would stay the same, which is my
Okay.
concern.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I
Here's-
did,
just want to be very clear. I am not saying our health agent hasn't done a great job and hasn't earned some sort of additional salary increase. My point is literally 40%.
Yes.
I'm hoping we can come to a consensus
You
this
and I
evening.
are falling very much in the same,
Because he really does, what I will say to the public now is, I have a full-time job, but when I have been here and have spoken to the health agent about just various different things, he's very sharp and he's very good at his job and he's very knowledgeable. So if he's watching, this is not, this is not anything personal, but it's a lot for one
year.
position in 1 year,
And
exactly.
he did just get the change in hours, December 4th, actually we started on the same day, December 4th. So I feel more comfortable finding out, going maybe a little bit longer. Do you maybe need more hours, actually? We don't even know. The Board of Health is kind of a baby department right now in the sense that it's still growing and finding its own legs separating from the Board of Selectmen. So that's a concern I have. We just don't know. But I did some figures. Oh, what? Sorry.
No, it's okay. Before we move on, what I was thinking is, and maybe you'll have an opinion on this as well. Since you both started around the same time, which was about December, is there a way where we could, I don't mean to kick the can down the road, but wait a couple months and then almost do like a performance review or something like that, and then reassess?
So
a salary
I believe
increase.
the performance review would be done by the Board of Health, because he's technically
Their employee.
I don't think-
overseen by the Board of
I don't
Health.
think we need a performance review. I don't think there's any question about the level of his performance. It's just the total increase.
That's
When
true.
you're looking at a $13,000 increase for a position that hasn't been around for 1 year, and the positions that got, I'll call it, the funds that got combined from other places in the budget, we only paid those people when they actually did something. They weren't on salary. We paid the engineer per plan when they reviewed septic plans. So it really has nothing to do with the person holding the job or the way they perform the job, because he's good. It's the $13,000 increase all in one bite.
I agree.
So, I think it's really high. If this were a combination of more hours and everything else, it would be a different story. And I really think in looking at this, what was your recommendation?
Star. I started.
It was just
recommend
as
to look
cut.
at and do something. So I had 28. If you went to $28 an hour, it works out to $36,400 per year. If you go to $30 an hour, it's $39,000 per year, and $32 an hour is $41,600. I can run those down again if you'd like.
What I would say is I'm comfortable with the lower level that you said, the 30, yeah,
36,400.
at 36,400 a year, which is almost it's still almost a $4,000 increase from the current salary, which I think is palatable, more palatable than the 13,000.
So it's about,
I think that's a safe number to go with the FinCom. The FinCom may make additional changes up or down, but I think,
I was landing on the 30, if just the $30 an hour at 39,000, but obviously. an
So you're
increase is-
comfortable with the 36,
yeah, that's what I wrote.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
the 28, so it ends up being 28 to an hour, and it was 36,400, right? Okay.
And we have
Gonna
to,
make that edit.
and I know we're always thinking about the budget, we're thinking about employees and people as well, but, you know, we did just raise the salary for the animal control officer, who is also part of the Board of Health as well. So I think this is definitely fair and doable.
and I think the other thing too is when we meet with the Finance Committee, I'm sure the Board of Health is gonna be there. And if there's something that maybe we're not aware of or something, they can make the case for it. And we can go from there. But I'm looking at the 36,400 at this point.
I'm okay with that, and thank you.
Yep. And I will say, the Board of Health did do a pretty good job of moving money
Oh,
to
absolutely.
accommodate.
No, they've done great.
So let's see, I believe that's the only change, I'm just double checking. Yeah, everything else was just what the department requested. So my only recommendation would be what you just voted on.
Okay.
Okay.
So Board of Health Administration is as presented?
Correct.
So, oh, you know what, so evidently, the next three items, and plus this page, are all part of Human Services, so let's do the next three departments.
Okay.
Council on Aging through Veteran Services. Then we get into Culture, Recreation, and Debt Service, so,
The really fun stuff.
Okay.
yep. Okay, so we're on Council on Aging.
Yep, I did not make any changes to Council on Aging,
So as is?
as is,
All right.
as requested. Prime time, same thing, that's all salaries. Veteran Services, he had requested, the Veterans Agent had requested an increase to 18 hours, so 4 hours in addition, and that's where his department request figure at 25,833, that's where that comes from. And I went just to a 2% increase over his 14 hours, that was my recommendation.
Before we discuss the number, did you have anything to say about the increase in the 4 extra hours? What I'll say is, did he mention, excuse me, did the Veteran Service Officer mention what the hours were for? Is he just?
Not specifically, I
things
think,
have picked up?
you know, I think, we have a ton of veterans
We
in
do.
town, we certainly do. So I know that he could make himself busy.
Of course.
I just, honestly, I've only been here 4.5 months, and I'm not certain that it needs to be there. And I make this recommendation to cut, but it's not to just forget about it.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I just want to say that to Don
Of
if
course,
he's watching.
of course,
and
I'm the
anybody
public.
else that
Well,
I've watched.
He's on, I believe, he's not available, but I would like to hear from him, so I want to put a hold on this one.
I'm okay with
I
that.
think he should have
A chance to come in.
Well,
Yeah.
if his department is not on the FinCom on Tuesday, he can come in here on Wednesday. And if it's, so we'll have a chance to discuss it. If not, we'll hear it Tuesday night, or if he's not around Wednesday night, it's coming up Thursday, because they've only got 2 nights scheduled. So I want to put a hold on this and see if we can hear from the Veterans Agent, either at our meeting or at one of the FinCom meetings. As long as he makes his,
Case.
indicates at one of those meetings what's happening. So let's
So
put
you're
a
willing
hold.
to do it at the FinCom meeting on Tuesday
Yeah.
as well?
Or if not, then he can come, he's got 3 opportunities.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay?
I'm okay with that. I also wanted to hear from him. Mr. Berkwin, of course.
Yeah.
Do you mind just, you don't have to stand, but, no, you can sit, but do you mind just where you live, your name?
Thomas Berkman, Jr., Hunter's Hill Drive, 3076.
Thank you.
I am a veteran, and I've actually, the guy's a great guy. The question I had was, he does Berkeley and our town, so does Berkeley give him a little reimbursement from their fund, or do we cover everything for him because he covers both towns?
He doesn't, so he has a paycheck obviously from Berkeley for his hours there, as I understand. But he does not use the van to transport the Berkeley veterans, and he does do a fantastic job. So I just want the public to know they're
I think
separate.
what Berkeley gives the town of Dayton is the reimbursement for the clerk's salary, administrative assistant.
Right.
I believe the veterans agent is paid directly as was described, and I think the administrative assistant and supplies, materials, that kind of stuff, with the exception of the car, because that car is strictly Dayton, it's reimbursed based on a percentage that they have and the number of clients served, I believe. So Dayton does receive some money from Berkeley to help cover expenses. Dayton upfronts that money.
Good, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he does a fantastic job. I've actually had a couple of situations where he helped me, and I think he does an excellent job.
He does. We're very lucky to have you, Mr. Hershey.
He's also an individual that in effect is 24/7, because if a veteran needs services, it's emergency or whatever, he'll respond. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bergman.
Did you want to vote on the waste, sanitation, and the human services with the exception of 543?
I'm okay with that. Selectman Goulart?
Where are we now?
We will have to act on,
All right, all of page 11. Page 12, so that would be human services evidently.
yep,
Okay, so,
Sanitation.
and what?
And
insanity,
sanitation.
433. It was just level funded. Yep.
Okay, so I'm saying all of page 11. And all of page 12.
Yep.
With a couple of reservations. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Department 433, these numbers get smaller, 491, that we hold, Department 510, we hold on line 5106.
Oh,
That's the one where,
that's the health agent.
right.
Do you want to do it?
Oh, no, we were gonna do the 36.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, all right, so, we approve 433, 491, with the change recommended on 491, okay, which is $15,000 on line 5310. That on Department 510, Board of Health Regulations and Inspections, on line 5106, we support $36,400, and that we approve Department 519. We approve Department 541, Council on Aging, 542 Prime Time, and on 543, we put a hold on line, well, let's put a hold on Department 543 until we hear the presentation from the veterans agent.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay.
Great. All right, library. I agreed with their request. I increased the line under expenses, 5450. It's custodial and housekeeping supplies. If you remember, that has gone out to bid. And it's actually on your agenda to award tonight. And that is the figure 2760. As I have recommended, that is the figure of the lowest bidder for the cleaning services. So they put in 300, and the cost would be 2760.
What line are you on?
5450.
Custodial and housekeeping
yes.
supplies. The actual figure is 2007, I missed the,
2,760, and that's
Oh, that's the number that's
cleaning
showing.
for the year, yes.
All right.
number
okay.
that should be there.
Okay.
And that's the only change on that?
That's the only, I level funded,
Okay.
or not level funded, excuse me, I went with their department request. The percentage that, they're bound to keep their accreditation, they have to have a certain amount of hours, and they have to spend a certain percentage of the budget on books, periodicals, and other items, is in line to maintain accreditation, excuse me. Okay, if there are no other questions, Parks and Rec. The line to look at here is 5240, equipment repairs and maintenance. The request was for $27,000. I recommended at 20, and even then, I think it's a little high, but something I'm not comfortable without being here for some time to look at. When I asked the Parks and Rec Commission member that spoke to me about this, he told me that this was for replacement of playground equipment. Obviously, that makes sense. To me, it's something that could come out of a special warrant article.
It's not equipment repairs and maintenance if they're going to acquire new equipment. It's acquisition of equipment, and depending upon the value, it's a fixed asset or it's just a expendable replacement, let me put it that way.
So I found it to be better suited in a warrant article instead of the operating budget. I spoke to him. It made sense, he said, but I left it at 20.
They were okay with that?
Does he have he has a
List of like what
list of
he's-
equipment or
yeah.
what has to, like the slide at this place has to be replaced?
I think the
or-
list is in his head. I know that he has an ongoing,
I know he does. I've
Yeah.
spoken to, I've spoken
he tells me them all the time. But
So we're anticipating, so you're saying you're recommending 20 of the 27, and we're anticipating a warrant
warrant
article.
article.
Okay.
I also, I'm recommending 20 with kind of an asterisk, because the historical spending shows that it's about there.
Yeah.
But, again, I'd like to work with them and talk about better ways of fund, if it's new
Right.
equipment, things
And-
like that, but.
The Finance Committee's going to have a final recommendation anyhow, so let's
Right.
see what they do also.
But you are recommending to the board the 20,000,
Yes.
which is basically what they spend year after year.
Okay.
Are you okay with
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to
Me
see
too.
anybody hurt, you know.
Of course,
because
absolutely. Okay.
The town historian is requesting a level funded budget of $250. I did not change that. Historical Commission, also level funding. I did not change that.
I have one question about the Historical Commission equipment repairs and maintenance. I did go to one of their meetings. They were discussing boosting that. Did they ever okay, maybe it was just an idea that was thrown around. Okay, because I know we have a building repair and maintenance line
Yes.
as well.
And
Not
I
there,
know that
but,
they are working on the Segregated Schoolhouse, and
Correct.
that would be a special warrant article.
okay.
Okay.
Well, the other thing too is there's active fundraising going on to do the de-leading and all of that, so there's other funding that would have to be considered,
Right.
so.
They would also qualify if the CPC committee agreed, approved it, they would qualify for CPC funding for that project.
I know the outside was de-leaded, that was an Eagle Scout project of one of the Gray family. There were 3 sons, all Eagles, and one of them did do de-leading of the outside of the Segregated school.
Okay, Cable Committee, they have a salary request here. They increased it. I went with that increase because they just got some new equipment. I know that they're looking to expand some programming. Already they're making some changes to what they're doing. Tonight we're seeing them. And
May I comment on that, Madam Administrator? I also support the increase. I know how hard they work because they have helped us tremendously. They have full reign over the YouTube channel. They're doing everything. So they've taken over more responsibility in terms of getting the meetings out to the public. So I'm totally fine with that because they're working more.
that's right.
I agree, I support that.
Yeah. I did, good job, Cable. I did
Thank you, Cable.
decrease line 5870, replacement equipment. because they have their account that is for those of you who don't know, the town licenses Comcast to be our government access provider, and they provide a fee every year. And that goes into an account, and they can use those funds to propel their department. So I moved that down to 10,000, which I think is an extremely safe number, and have advised them that they should go to town meeting and request to expend funds from that cable budget. So it doesn't really have any, it doesn't have any impact at all on.
And they're okay,
on the
they
tax rate.
understand,
Yes.
they're okay?
Yes.
All right. Any questions about that, comments? All right. Thank you, Madam Administrator.
Absolutely. So that's the end of total culture, culture and recreation. If you'd like to continue to debt service and
Okay,
finish the
I'm gonna
page.
I'm gonna break it right there. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the following departments with the notations as mentioned. Department 610 Library. Department 630 Parks and Recreation with the asterisk on line 5240. Department 690 Town Historian, Department 691 Historical Commission, and Department 698 Cable, all is recommended.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. Hearing, oh, did somebody in the
I
audience?
didn't know if you had anything to say about the Parks and Rec budget. I saw you came in like just in time. I didn't know if it was on purpose.
No, it's not my department.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. We don't have any further discussion. Let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Sorry about that. It was just how you came in.
He doesn't know where and what's going to be replaced yet, so he may have further comment pending.
We'll wait for town meeting. Okay, these are just the debt, and the big thing here is obviously the police station's coming on, and this is, I didn't touch any of this. This is,
I can't make any cuts in the mortgage.
this is what it is.
We have to pay that.
Pay up.
And, so that's that. That's your debt service.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve, as presented, Department 710, maturing principal on long-term debt. That includes the Police Station Communication Center and the WPAT note. Department 751, interest on long-term debt. That's Police Station Communications. And we have, there's nothing budgeted for 752 because we have no plans to do short-term borrowing. So I recommend that we approve them as presented.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. 911.
911.
This is in a whole nother area
Yep,
that.
we don't touch this. This is our retirement assessment, so that just kind of is what it is, but it's a safe estimate. Mary, the treasurer, put that in there. The workers' comp insurance is level funded, but we did receive our insurance figures, and this is right in line with that. Health insurance is a big one. Mary and I did attend the meeting of the South Coast Health Group, and it is a 5% increase in rates. So she also adds a couple of families every year just to be sure. So that's budgeted there. Everything else is level.
Are you just speaking about 910 through 920?
Sorry, 911 through 919. 920 is tuition. This board voted to fund that at 2,000, and since that meeting, we did actually have an employee express interest, and because of that, I'm actually gonna recommend we bump that up to 4,000. He plans on taking for the fiscal year 4 classes. He must pass and take them, and it's a reimbursement thing, but he's taking advantage of it, which is great.
Yes, piggybacking off of you, Madam Administrator, to the town employees who may or may not be watching, I know I fully support if you want to take classes, if you want to develop professionally. I'm 100% sure Selectman Goulart supports that as well. So please, these are opportunities. Dayton is a special place, so take advantage of it. Develop professionally. That's what we like to see. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I, just to reiterate, from 2000, which we had voted on, or not we, I didn't, you, this board had voted on, I would just recommend doubling that because of the interest of this individual. And the other, let's see, settlements and court judgments are both funded at 0, as they usually are, and the liability insurance is at 127, which is a level fund from last year and in line with our insurance costs.
Okay.
Selectman Goulart, did you have any thoughts on the tuition?
No, when I saw the request come in today, I said,
I was happy.
I was glad.
Almost fell out of my chair in the
We
office.
haven't had anyone show interest in doing anything as far as professional development, taking courses or anything in literally years, and we took it out of the budget. And the fact that we've put it in there and somebody says, I want to go to school, no, I fully support that.
Absolutely.
Great.
The word's getting out. Thank
That's
you.
right. And that is before we get to the sewer enterprise.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the following departments. 9/11, retirement and pension contributions. 9/11 should be police and whatever.
I know.
Anyhow.
Move that around next
Department 912, workers' comp. 914, group health insurance. 915, group life insurance. 916, employer contributions for Medicare. 919, OPEB. There's no money budgeted because that's usually a separate vote if we have money available at town meeting.
Yep.
Tuition with the increase from $2,000 to $4,000. 940 and 941, no money budgeted. Those are court settlements, court judgments or settlements. And Department 945, liability insurance.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
So without knowing exact figures because of the different changes that we made, we probably cut about a little more than $130,000 from the department request. But I'll get an accurate figure for you. Okay, now we have the sewer enterprise. I actually didn't change this at all. They updated with the indirect costs that were provided by the town accountant once she received the necessary information she needed from the insurance company. And what you see as my recommendation is what the department requested.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the sewer enterprise account as presented.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will schedule, just to summarize, we're scheduling the veterans officer, and that's
Yes.
it. That is the end. Okay.
And then the, just figuring out the state aid, keeping the state aid the same for the
DR.
fiscal year 19 for DR. Yep.
300.
And anything that you see that comes in as local aid, if you could kind of plug that in as our offset, planning on the same numbers.
Sure.
Okay. That's fantastic. Next.
All these little pages, by the way.
Yeah, I couldn't, those are the same thing, but they're just smaller, and so I couldn't, yeah, I liked it when it was on the landscape version. All right, old business. Next is the AC unit for Old Town Hall.
We are going to hold again on this.
Okay.
Holding again.
Let's hope it doesn't get hot, people at Old Town Hall.
Well, it is supposed to snow, right, tomorrow?
Probably.
That's more likely.
Exactly, at this point. Now, next, agenda item 5C, Board of Selectmen meeting schedule.
We thought we would get a jump on scheduling the meetings for, I'm a planner, I like to look ahead. So we thought we'd get a jump on planning the summer meetings, summer
Okay.
schedule. And actually Selectman Goulart and I discussed this today with Karen, and we picked out the days that would be your bi-weekly meeting schedule. So this is June 13th and 27th, July 11th and 25th, and August 8th and 22nd for the summer.
And just one more time, please.
Oh, I know, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
That's June 13th and 27th, July 11th and 25th, and August 8th and 22nd.
All right.
So after Labor Day, the first meeting of the Board of Selectmen will be September,
Oh, hold on, 3, 4, 5, 5th.
all right.
All right. That's great because we can get the information out to the public so they're not coming here on a night they're expecting it to be open and it is not an
And
open
we need to
evening.
pass that on to the town, the departments that are located in the building. Everybody knows what we're,
I still plan on being here, by the way, because I'm gonna take advantage of
too.
the quiet.
I understand.
and also for the public, this is the summer schedule, but it's not cast in stone. Just like last year, if we need to have meetings, we'll have meetings.
I think we had them every week last year.
We had a lot.
Okay, fantastic. Now let's move on to new business. And the first agenda item under new business is award the bid for cemetery lawn maintenance, which I know you had kind of alluded to earlier.
Yes. The Cemetery Commission needed to go out to bid for their cemetery lawn care maintenance contract. We set up a scope of service. We provided it to 3 businesses because of the cost amount. It comes under the 3 written quotations. We provided it to 3. We actually required them to come to a pre-bid meeting to get specific information and to do a tour of all the cemeteries that they would need to work on. It's quite astonishing. Dayton has 53 or 54 cemeteries. Not all of those are included in the contract, of course. But we spent 3 hours going over what they needed to know. And we came back with 1 person submitting the bid. And you have that the total aggregate of the yearly cost is $14,200.
You have that in your package? I got 2 of them here.
Yeah, they printed out 2 for some reason, so I took them out.
Okay, all right.
You have what you need?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the recommendation of the Cemetery Commission and award the bid for cemetery lawn maintenance, cleanup to Dream Builders at the total cost of $14,200 for the year.
Can I ask,
sure,
sorry,
no,
can I ask you to
absolutely.
just amend that, because as part of this
It was
scope of service,
15,000,
it's
wasn't it?
15, just to be safe, because there, as part of this contract is assigned work, things like if headstones are,
Oh, extra things.
yeah,
and
and
we
that's
approved
the
the
hourly rate.
15,000. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, yes,
No,
you're
we
right,
can-
you approved 15,000.
So we're
So
budget.
it would be,
So it's
15,000.
14.2 plus not to exceed 15,000?
yes,
Is
that's
that what we're
perfect.
doing?
That's
Yep,
perfect.
that's perfect.
Did you get that, Karen?
Yes, I did. I will say, Nancy, you have a knack for making a motion.
Right? It's holding us all accountable.
I used to have to summarize things at the school committee meetings. There'd be so much discussion, and somebody would say, yeah, I make that motion, and everyone looked at one another and said, what was the motion? So I'd say, I think you did
I was
this.
there before.
Okay,
So-
so we've got a motion.
Yep, and I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Good work, Cemetery Commission. Next, thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is the 6C, new business Constellation New Energy Contract, April 2020 to December 2022.
Can't believe we're planning this far ahead, but it's good. Selectman Goulart, do you want to make mention of anything, or? This came
Mass
from you.
Municipal Association is affiliated with Constellation Energy. And as a result of that connection, we have had presentations from Charlotte Diogo, who is the MMA representative for this energy program. So we did meet with her and discuss some options, because right now all municipal buildings in the town of Dayton are under the aggregate that those of us who are also under that aggregate of 0.10122 per kilowatt hour, the town is paying the same rate. However, because of this municipal energy program that is available, we asked Mrs. Diogo to take a look at all of the town buildings that receive energy through National Grid and come up with some kind of a proposal for us to save even more money. And I'll let the town administrator tell you what that is. But the point is that right now they're with us. Everyone in town who is under the program, including municipal buildings, is at 0.10122 per kilowatt hour. However, with the work that Mrs. Diogo did, we're looking to save additional money. It will only relate to municipal buildings serviced by National Grid. Obviously, the North End gets TMLP, and they're not part of the aggregate program. So I will turn this over to Mrs. Aaronstein, and she can tell you where we are with rates.
Madam Administrator, before, if you'd allow me, and I just wanted to remind the public that in addition to the savings that we may be reaping tonight, if this Constellation New Energy contract is approved this evening, that is in addition to the savings that we're reaping from when we replaced all the light bulbs in these municipal buildings. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. In our meeting with Charlotte, it was really quite encouraging. So she looked out for us for April 2020 to December 2022, which is when April 2020 is when our contract now would end. And in order to lock in this rate, which is 0.0995, so a better rate than what we're currently getting, we would execute this contract tonight. Town Council has reviewed this. He's okay with it. He needs to do a letter of opinion, which he's working on now. He did have one question. I emailed him just before this meeting, so I know he's working on it. But this is a way for us to save just a little bit and lock in this rate. In Charlotte's presentation, I think everyone knows that more and more energy plants are being shut down and not operating, and there's a higher demand for energy. And as pipelines come in, gas pipelines come in, or try to come in and then are stopped politically, that just means it's harder for us here, specifically in New England, to get energy. Right now, the closest one I think is coming through Pennsylvania, if I remember correctly, and it just takes a while to get up here. So that's why we here have higher electric rates than maybe the rest of the country, or excuse me, rates at all. So if you are so encouraged, this is the contract. The market does electric rates by day. So this is the rate today. If we wait, we'll be subject to a different rate. We don't know what it will be.
Which probably will not be lower, given what we were discussing earlier.
And then to know that we're locked in until 2022. So right now you're getting a good rate, and then until 2022 you're getting another good rate.
Allows folks to plan accordingly as well for their household budget. I have one question. You had said Town Hall was going to issue some sort of an opinion. Is it okay? Town Council, excuse me. Is it okay to vote on this before they issue that opinion?
Yes, he did review the contract, the draft contract that you have. I have the one that is the one to sign because it has the specific day market conditions. He has no problem. So that's my verbal indication to you that Town Council is good to go and they're working on the letter. It's up to you if you feel comfortable doing that, but it's okay. And this is, Constellation works with MMA, and I've worked with them in West Bridgewater, a pretty great company, and
Did you have any additional thoughts, Selectman Goulart?
I'm ready to make a motion.
I'm ready to accept one.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that contingent on Town Council final approval, that we enter into the new energy contract for the period April 2020 through December of 2022 with Constellation Energy through the Mass Municipal, they call it Muni Energy Program.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion.
just to reiterate, these are for municipal accounts. So this rate won't be available for a homeowner.
Residential, yeah.
But this is for us, a way for us to save some money on our utility bills.
Any further discussion?
You know, the contract that we had that ended in December, that we had for 2 years, was .0949. and it increased by less than a penny a kilowatt hour. And to look at this far into the future, 2020 to 2022, and it has gone up. It will go up. Over the previous 0949 to 0.095, it's 0.0046. It's remarkable to be able to get that kind of a rate that far in advance and to lock it in. And in the meantime, we're at the rate where it's less than a penny an hour increase. And it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you think of the thousands of kilowatt hours we use, it adds up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity, and I'm glad to see the town's taking advantage of it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Before we move on, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that whoever prepared these electric usage values in the back of this sheet is a genius.
Charlotte.
Charlotte, because as you know, if the town wishes to become a green community, once we start that process, we need to do energy audits, which we're already discussing. So to know, we already have a value to work with, so then we have an idea of what we've saved. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And yes, I will present this information to the public when I have it. And thank you very much. This is a great idea.
The other thing that's interesting is, first of all, this is one more example of a benefit we get because, number one, the town of Dayton belongs to MMA, and number two, I first heard about this at a presentation of the Energy and Environmental Committee that I sit on. So, again, this is another benefit of our connection to Mass Municipal Association. But the other thing I want to mention is when Mrs. Aaronstein and I first met with Charlotte Diogo, she was under the impression that the contract we had, the new aggregate, had a different ending date. And I said, no, it's a 3-year contract. We're going to go out this far, because initially she said, I don't think I'm going to be able to save you that much. When she found out it's a 3-year contract, she went out and did more calculations. That's why we're looking at 2020 to 2022. So we will be picking up additional savings because we're under a 3-year aggregate. So that was a plus.
It ended up being, it was lower than what she had originally.
Exactly, exactly,
yeah. It's a good deal.
Before we move on, are we both signing under Town of Dayton, Mass?
You were on the top as chairman, and Selectman Goulart will be second.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Here you are. Good news for taxpayers.
It is, it's good.
I didn't realize there were any savings after we changed the bulbs. This is like fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so we have finished with old business and new business. We're moving right on
We
to.
got cleaning services.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Fun. I just,
That was a good point.
that back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is regarding the award for the bid for cleaning services for fiscal year 2019. Town Administrator Aaronson.
So we had to go out to bid for our cleaning services contract. We have the police station, the library, the old town hall, and this town hall that we are sitting in today. And that tipped the scales over 10,000, so we were going out to bid. I did a written scope of service, contacted actually 4 because one that I contacted just was not interested in taking any other clients. So I reached out to another person, which just had happened to come in one day. So out of 3 people that responded, the lowest bidder was M&S Cleaning Supply at $15,420 for the year. And I recommend that you award the cleaning contract to M&S Cleaning Supply, which would
Mr.
take.
Chairman, I move that we award the cleaning contract service, the cleaning service contract to MS Cleaning Supply at a bid price of $15,420 per year. And this covers this building, the new town hall, the police station,
And the library.
and the library.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. I simply wanted to say I think M&S Cleaning Supply is